$14,789.32 is what I am currently holding for my debt with all my credit cards. So that amount would only be about 6,000 something, but since I took out 2 loans from Upstart, that's where I'm getting the 14,000 because of the fact that one of them was for 5,500, I think, but then they charge you so much, so it's like really just 5,000. And then the other one, I believe, was for 3,400 or 3,100, and I'm now sitting, I believe, at 3,300. I don't know. I will link the amounts above so that you guys can see. I know for my balances, I'm gonna list what I have in the top just to kind of show you the overall like amount that my credit cards are going through. 2024 was rough. It was a rough year. Since it is the beginning of the new year, I'm going to make a goal to try and tackle my credit card debt so that I'm basically not just like working to pay credit cards, because that's freaking miserable.
All right, so before we get started into this, I just want to go on a quick rant. Listen, what are you people buying? You see, credit card debt has gotten so bad that people have literally turned this into a trend on TikTok to where you get on here and you brag about 10, 15, 20. I even saw somebody that had $60,000 worth of credit card debt. They were on TikTok. They weren't really bragging, but they were just sharing their stories. And I'm just sitting back like, oh my God. Like, all my hair would be turning white, like if I had that much in credit card debt, because I'm old school. Like, I remember way back when I was a kid and I watched Friday, and I remember how Smokey and Craig owed Big Worm that money. And like, that taught me, don't be in a situation where you owe anybody money. Like, I'm so cheap, I don't even think I would like borrow money. But I've had credit card debt before. Currently, I have 0 credit card debt, right? And I haven't had credit card debt maybe since, I don't know, the last 2 years. It's been 2 years since I've had credit card debt because I just don't do it. I ain't got the money to spend. I ain't buying it. I don't like credit cards. Like, I have them, and obviously my wife has them. I mean, doesn't every lady? But seriously though, I don't know what people are spending their money on, and it's like really, really getting ridiculous. So if you are listening and you don't have credit card debt, don't get credit card debt. And if you got credit card debt, hey, find you a way to pay it off, because like, it just makes no sense. I mean, just look, the average American has $8,674 in credit card debt. And I bet that the average American does not even have that much in liquid cash that they can put their hands on. It's almost like you out here working for no reason. If you like got that much money in credit card debt and your money has to keep going to paying interest and interest and interest and interest, it's like, you're gonna spend your whole life doing that? Like, no, it does not make any sense at all. Now, I know, I Googled it myself, and looks like the average credit score in the United States is a 700. But if everybody's got this much credit card debt, I don't even know like how they're able to maneuver. But here's the thing, right? I give a shout out to you because you're here, you're part of the Genius Crew, and you want to figure out what should you do or what can you do if you need to buy a house and you've got a lot of credit card debt, or you've got a really low credit score. And I'm going to fix that. I'm going to solve that for you today, because there's so many things online, so many things on TikTok, and I'm not seeing this one simple, very simple way to boost your credit score up very fast and also guaranteed so you can be able to buy a house, get a car, or whatever it is that you want to get a high credit score for, business credit. The list goes on. But before we jump into it, Genius Crew, you already know what time it is. Drop the track. Welcome back. Welcome back. It is the Market Genius. I'm about to give y'all some game today, so make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. Join the Genius crew. We want you to be here because we are growing at a very fast rate, fast pace. I want you to build your financial future. And by the way, this is not financial advice. This is just advice that can help you out financially. All right. So if you have a really low credit score, or if you have a lot of credit card debt and you're trying to buy, let's say, a home, right? Because that's the arena that I work in, right? Real estate. If you are trying to buy a home with bad credit or low credit, 9 times out of 10, the first place that you're going to try to seek out is credit repair. And gosh, like, there are so many credit repair scams that happen. Believe me, like, I'm not going to call any names, but you know, there are credit repair scams to where like people say like, hey, you know, I can help you fix your credit. And then the next thing they're telling you is like, hey, on Thursday night, do you want to come down to the Marriott Hotel and I don't know no Diddy stuff, but you want to come to this seminar to where we're going to teach you how to sign other people up to fix their credit. And you sitting back, you like, hey man, I just want to get my credit repaired. Yes, those are, I'm going to call it a scam. I call it what it is because at the end of the day, like, hey, I'm a free person. I own my own business and I do my own thing. So, hey, I'm going to call it what I want. You can disagree. Get in the comments below if you don't think it's a scam, but I'm going to call it a scam. And then there's these other credit bureaus, or should I say credit agencies, right? And they say, well, we're going to send off letters, right? We're gonna charge you $1,000. I had one client, right? And they literally told me that they paid somebody $2,500, $2,500 to send off letters and disputes and all of those things to help them boost their credit. You know what the worst part about it was? It really didn't even work. So if you have a low credit score or your credit needs work, first thing you need to understand is that there is a place for credit repair and sending letters and things like that, but that really doesn't work. And I'm going to explain to you why that's not going to work for most people in terms of helping you really, really get to your credit goals. Now I know, like, you got a computer and a smartphone and all of that great stuff. You got technology, right? So you've probably seen this chart before, but if you haven't, I'm just going to give you my rundown of it, right? The Market Genius rundown of it. Here are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that make up your credit score. And I'm going to explain to you why credit repair doesn't always work, especially to boost your score up enough to be able to buy a home or get the car that you want. And I'm gonna explain to you right after this what actually will work. But you gotta understand this first to understand why what I'm referring you to do, or should I say suggesting, or I'm just putting you up on game on it. Let me just explain why that's gonna work. All right, first thing, you have amounts owed. So just like the lady that we saw in the video when this video started, she owed about $15,000 in credit card debt. So 30% of your credit is just based on how much you owe, right? And it's taking a ratio of like how much you owe, how much credit you have available, all right? So if you have, let's just say $10,000 worth of credit cards, right? And you owe $5,000 on them. That means you owe 50%, or they call it a utilization score. You have a utilization of 50%, right? Generally, you want to keep that under 30%. I've heard some people say keep it under 10, but I'm not a credit professional. I'm just giving you the game on what actually works with my clients and what I've seen. So keep your utilization. That's a hard word for me to say. Keep that under 30%. 10% is new credit. So like, do you have new credit inquiries? Have you tried to go to get that new Dodge Charger and they ran your credit 57 times, right? How many times or how recent do you have like new inquiries? They're going to ding you if you have too many new inquiries. So also protect that as well. One thing that I'm going to touch on while I'm talking about the subject of inquiries is that when you are shopping for a house, getting a mortgage, right? You can run your credit several times, and what they look at it is what's called like a free look period. So there's a certain period of time that you can apply to different lenders and it won't count as multiple inquiries. Just food for thought there. 15% goes to length of credit history, right? So in certain communities, right? I'm just going to say the more wealthy communities in America, they have, somebody that has a credit card for 30 years or 20 years, right? And they put all their kids on there, and that's how their kids get, 800 credit scores, right? But in other communities, right, we pay off a credit card if we're lucky. If it doesn't, it close, right? We pay off a credit card, and then next thing you know, we close it. So that affects our length of credit, and that makes up 15% of your credit score. So there you have it. All right, 10% is credit mix, right? Do you have a car? Do you have a mortgage, credit cards? What different types of credit do you have? And then also, the biggest part is, of course, we're talking about credit here. The biggest part is, of course, payment history, right? Do you pay your bills on time? 35% of that is payment history. Now, let me explain to you why credit repair does not always work and what will work when it comes to boosting your credit fast when you're trying to get you a place to stay or buy you a house, right? I guess that's really more important. It's more important to me, right? Because I want to serve you in that arena. All right, so when you're working with credit repair, all they're going to do is send off letters. So there's only a couple of these that they can attack, right? So the top thing that they're going to attack is payment history, right? So they're going to send off a letter to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They're going to basically say, hey, John disputes owing on his Applebee's credit card, right? And I know you better not have no Applebee's credit card, right? We're going to say Kohl's or something like that. So you're going to have the credit bureau or I keep saying credit bureau. You're going to have the credit agency send a letter to the credit bureau saying that you don't owe them money. All right. And then what happens then is the credit bureau is going to reach out to Kohl's and say, hey, John says he doesn't owe this money. Can you provide proof that he does? And very often, which is why credit repair agencies are able to say that it works, very often Kohl's will not respond in a certain amount of time saying that you owe that money, or that debt had already been sold off to another company, a collection agency, and they may not have the original documents or be able to respond fast enough saying that you do actually owe that money. Now, in that scenario, then those late payments are going to come off your credit, which obviously that seems like a really good thing that will boost your score. And in a lot of cases, it will help you out, but only slightly. And then also later on down the road, they can come back on your credit report. And the truth of the matter is that if you have missed payments on your credit history, then you probably did miss those payments. And very often, more often than not, those companies are going to have like actual records showing that you didn't pay them. You think they could just going to give away their money like for free just because you wrote a letter? No. All right. So that is literally the only thing that credit repair agencies can do for you. Now, I guess in a sense that, let's just say if you have something in collections, right? You have something in collections, same process. They're going to say like, hey, John doesn't owe this money that's in collections. The collections company has a certain time to respond. If they don't respond in a certain time, then they can get that removed from your credit. Okay, good for you, right? But those things, are not guaranteed. And even if you do get that taken care of, like it's only going to boost your credit up just a little bit. Now, the real or the best thing that you should be doing if you are trying to boost your credit to buy a house or to buy anything that revolves around credit is getting a trade line. All right. And so for those of you who are not familiar with what trade lines are, it's essentially becoming an authorized user on an account that already has like good, I'm not even gonna say good, outstanding fabulous standing with these credit bureaus. And the reason why that trade lines are better and more effective, not just in my opinion, but based off of what credit is based on, is they are going to attack, I would say, at a minimum, three of the factors or three of the biggest factors that make up your credit, but they're going to help it out significantly. And let me give you an example of how that will work. So let's say, for example, and we have access to get people trade lines as well too. If you need it, comment below. We'll get you in touch with our partner, get you some trade lines for your credit, help you get in the house, do whatever you need to do. But all right, I'll give you an example, right? So let's say John, right? We're sticking with John. If your name is John, hey, you the one with the bad credit. And hopefully it's not that like that in real life. But we get a trade line for John, right? Let's say we're going to put him on a card that has a $30,000 limit. All right. So we're going to walk it down what a trade line will do for you. All right. We make him an authorized user on an account that has a $30,000 limit. What that does instantly for John is it lowers his credit utilization. Because remember, if John had a credit card that had a $10,000 limit on it, but he owed $5,000 on it, he was at 50% utilization. But when we add him to this trade line that has a $30,000 limit, now the credit bureau is going to read that, oh, wow, okay, John now has a $40,000 limit and he's only using $5,000 of that, all right? That is one way that a trade line is going to give you an immediate boost to your credit compared to using a credit agency. The second thing is, right, with that trade line, not only do you get that $30,000 boost in credit limit to add to whatever you already have, that trade line is also going to have a perfect payment history. Remember, we're talking about ratios and percentages and fractions when we're talking about payment history, right? And so let's say, for example, John has 100 payments on his credit. Let's say John has had credit for 100 months, right? Just to keep it simple, right? And out of those 100 months, John has missed 10 payments, all right? So he has a 90% on time payment history, all right? But when we add this trade line, let's say the trade line has been open for 20 years with perfect payments. So you take 20 times 12, 20 years times 12 months, whatever that ends up adding up to, all right, that goes on top of John's payment history. That instantly boosts his payment history from 90% to probably 97, 98, 99% on-time payments. Another thing, remember, payment history is 35% of your credit, and that is going to instantly boost his credit score immediately. No letters being sent off, nothing else going on, not having to deal with any funny scams or anything like that. Those results are immediate. And now, the last thing that's also extremely important that adding a trade line is going to do for you is help your length of credit history. Now, if John has bad credit, chances are he hasn't had credit that long, right? He hasn't had accounts that have been open for 5 or 10 years, right? Like in the example that we just talking about now, if we add a trade line that has 20 years worth of credit history, all of that time that account has been open is going to exponentially increase his credit history, which in turn is going to increase his credit score immediately. So, what is my point here? All right. I don't have anything against credit repair except for that it's probably a scam. And listen, I used to own a credit repair company. And so I've done it for countless clients. And what I found out is that it's just really like a shot in the dark. It's hit or miss whether those companies are going to respond to those letters and be able to get stuff removed on your credit. But what is a near 100% surefire way to actually boost your credit is adding a trade line. Now, I have a really great website that you can use to actually get and sort through trade lines, or you can just do the work yourself. Like, the internet is a big, wild place. So be careful who you end up linking up with to get these trade lines. But ultimately, a trade line is usually going to cost you much less than getting credit repair. You can get a trade line for like $500 to $1,000. And I know it seems like a lot, but I mean, hey, what's the cost of sitting on the sidelines when you haven't been able to buy a home or when you need credit to get a new job or whatever? So that's my spiel. That's my take on it. Please, if you are in credit card debt, get out of it. All right. And if you need help with the trade lines, comment below. I'm here to help you. I'm the Market Genius. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the Genius Crew because we are growing really, really fast. I want more people to come on in so we can build a better future for ourselves and our family, make money. That sounds right, don't it? All right, peace.